Howdy folks, it's Clayton with HayBoss Feeders, and today we're going to be doing a video to show you how to make a DIY barrel feeder. So we got this barrel. We're going to turn this normal barrel that we got off of here in Canada, Kijiji, or any classified ads, maybe Craigslist in the States, but you can probably find these barrels for like 15 to 20 bucks used. And we're going to turn this barrel into an awesome feeder that hangs on your fence, that's easy to load, and you don't have to go inside your fence to load. You just throw the hay back there, you hang it on your fence here, and the horses will eat it through here. Okay, so with our kit from HayBoss Feeders, there's everything you need in here except the barrel. So you're going to find a barrel, a nice big 45-gallon drum if you can, as big as possible, and then with the kit you'll have everything you need to make this feeder here. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to open up my box and I'm going to pull out my hardware bag and my instructions. Let's see what else is in the box. We got this nice plastic top. Comes with a template that we will be sticking to the barrel, and that's going to show you where to drill your holes and where to cut your holes. And then it also comes with your net frame. Okay? And your chain and your load binder to snug it to your fence. So we check out our instructions, and right at the beginning of the instructions it says we need a jigsaw, a circular saw. So check on that, I got that. Drill with a 1/4 inch bit, check, and a 9/16 bit, so a bigger bit. Maybe not all of you guys have this one, but if you have like a construction spade bit or a wood bit that goes up to 9/16, use that. If not, you can use a 1/2 inch bit and just ream it out. You only got to make 2 holes with this, or 3. 7/16 wrench and socket with a ratchet. I'm just going to go with my impact here with a 7/16 bit on there. That's to tighten all the bolts. And then we have some screws at the top. You're going to need a 1/4 inch nut driver. So that's going to go in our impact to do our 1/4 inch head screws. Knife, measuring tape, square, marker, masking tape, scissors, and most importantly, a large plastic barrel. Okay, so let's, first step is to get some masking tape and grab your template. And we're going to put our barrel on the table. And most of these barrels, so far out of the ones I've done, I haven't seen a barrel that didn't have a seam. But most of these barrels will have a seam here, and then 180 degrees apart it'll have a seam here. I guess that's where it comes out of the mold, out of the mold or something. But anyway, they all have a seam, so that seems nice to use for measuring. So you'll grab 2 pieces of masking tape. You'll open up your template. And you'll notice we have a scissor line here that we're going to cut. That's a template to mark for later. So you're going to have a hole here. So if you just go around, you're going to have a little hole there and a little hole here. Then you're going to have 4 little holes up at the top here that you're going to have to just pull the paper out of. Then you're going to have all these slots going around that you got to pull these slots out of the template. all your cutouts removed, we're going to cut along that dotted line, and this template will be used for some top holes that I'll show you later on in the video. So I'm going to grab my scissors here. Okay, here's my little template that I cut out, and I'm going to save that for later. And then I'm going to take this template to my barrel. And you'll notice on the template it has this dotted line down the middle, and it says place the barrel on the table and tape this template to the barrel with the center line running along the vertical seam on the barrel. Okay? So you look for that vertical seam. I'm going to line that line up with the vertical seam there, and then down at the bottom I'm going to make sure my feet touch the table. I'm going to grab a piece of tape. I'm going to tape it there on that side. Make sure it's running straight. And tape it there on that side. Okay. So make sure your feet are touching the table. It's all looking nice. Now we can trace our lines. So I grab a black Sharpie. I'm going to trace this bottom line here. And then I'm going to trace it around all the slots. And these two holes up here, we're going to mark those out. And keep going around your slots. There's two more holes here that you got to mark out. Okay, and that's all you need the template for. So now you can pull your template off. And you'll have your marks. You'll have your marks there, and we're going to be cutting that out. But first, we're going to cut our top off. Okay, so we're going to grab our saw. If I use my saw here and I measure from the outside of the stop, I'm about 1 1/8 inches. So you can go anywhere. If your saw is about 1 1/8 inches or 1.5 inches, that's fine. Anything over 1 inch. And what's nice is I'm going to just run my saw along this this lip here of the barrel, and then my blade will be about 1 1/8 inches further down, and then I'm just going to ride it all the way around. So I don't even have to really mark anything. I'm just going to set my saw, and I'm going to cut it. Just like that. So I butt my saw up against that lip, and then cut all the way around. Okay, there you go. Top's off. Put that over there. You're done with your circular saw. And sometimes, depending on where you bought your barrels, but this one had like some vinegar in it or something, so I'm going to have to wipe that out. And I'm going to have to clean up all my edges. So I'm going to use my knife. I'm just going to shave my edges. Okay, and now the next step is we want to cut our arch out of there. So to do that, we're going to use our jigsaw. But I am going to I'm going to drill a hole so my jigsaw could get in somewhere along the bottom here. Okay, I'll grab my jigsaw and then I'm just going to cut all the way around. Okay, now you're done with your jigsaw. You got this chunk, that's useless. And now I'm just going to grab a rag. I'm going to clean out the inside of my barrel and get rid of any shavings. Okay, now we got our hole cut out. All our shavings, all our edges are cleaned up. Now we're going to drill our holes on the bottom for our our net frame to stick in there. These two holes here, that's going to go through the bottom, and then there's going to be a cotter pin that goes in there. So we're going to do those, and then while we're at it, we're going to drill a bunch of drain holes in the bottom in case any water gets in there. The hole will be able to drain. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to take my square and my measuring tape. I'm going to measure 10 inches down along this seam here. I'm going to make a mark at 10 inches from the outside edge. I'm going to put my square along there so that I'm coming at a 90-degree angle from that seam. Okay, and then those are my two holes. So I'm going to drill as close to the edge here as I could get, and as close to the edge there as I could get with a 9/16 bit. Okay, so those are my two holes on the edge. Or maybe you could see them on the inside there. And then I'm just going to go around and I'm going to drill maybe about 8 more holes on the bottom for drain holes. So I just kind of eyeballed it, and we put 8 more holes wherever, just for water to drain, you know, at the lowest part of the barrel. So where this groove is here, that'd be the highest part inside, so the water would want to drain here. So I just drilled there. You know, pick 8 spots or 9 or 10 or whatever you think, and drill some drain holes. Okay, so next step is we got to use that other template. You go from your front seam. So here I can see my front seams right here. I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch down, and I'm going to make a mark. On this seam here, I'm making a mark 3/4 of an inch down. You drill a 1/4 inch hole. Okay, so we drilled our 1/4 inch hole 3/4 of an inch down from the top, and that's for this template here. So you got one little hole in this template, and you got one big hole. So in the big hole, you put a 1/4 inch bolt through it, and then you put that through your 1/4 inch hole that you just drilled. I'll just gotta throw a nut just hand tight so it doesn't fall out. And then this is to mark 2 holes going this way. So I'm gonna run it along the top here. I'm going to make sure I'm at the top where this hole is, and then I'm going to mark a hole there, and that'll be 3/4 of an inch down. Then I'm going to come in 180 degrees apart. I'm going to go up to the top here, do the same. So now I'm going to drill those 2 holes, that one and that one with a 1/4 inch. And then we're going to flip it. So now we got the back seam. We're going to mark our holes for our hooks and install our hooks. So our hooks, we're going to go down this back seam here. Here's the back seam. We're going to go 4 inches down, and then our hooks are going to be 5 inches apart, or 10 inches apart, 5 inches away from the seam. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of eyeball, give myself an idea of where like 5 inches is apart. Then I'm going to come 4 inches down, and then I'm going to come exactly 5 inches from the seam, mark a hole there. Then I'm going to do the same thing on this side of the seam. So I'm going to eyeball about 5 inches, come down to 4 inches, and then make sure it's exactly 5 inches. And I'm going to drill 2 holes there. So in our package we have our 2 aluminum hooks. And what we're going to use with those is a 1/4 inch bolt, a 1/4 inch lock nut, and then we're going to put a washer on the plastic end. So whenever I'm putting washers on this barrel feeder, wherever there's plastic, I'm going to put a washer. So I'm not going to put a washer on this hook just because these holes are nice and tight, but I am going to put a washer on the back side where it goes into the plastic. Okay, then I'm going to grab my impact and my wrench, and I'm going to snug these up. Okay, then I'm going to measure from that seam again and make sure from this seam to that hole I'm 5 inches apart. Snug up all of them. Okay, now we're going to come back around and we're going to install our net frame brackets. So those are going to be going on the inside, on these holes here, and they're going to just hold our net frame in. So they're going to end up like this. So they're going to bend, when they're inside, they're going to bend out, and then your net frame is going to sit inside there. Okay? So we marked those holes with the template. Okay, so I'm going to put them in like this. I'm going to start one, and I'm just going to hang them. And these ones will have a washer on the outside because it's going straight into the plastic there. So the bolt will have a washer, and the nut doesn't need a washer on it. Okay, so I got them just hand tight. And I don't know if you can see them in there, but you see how the net frame is going to sit in there. So the bend is kind of bent up there. When we put this frame in our barrel, I'm going to see where the knots are, and I'm going to even it out, and I'm going to pull all the knots down. Okay? So I'm going to have it like that when I clip it up into my brackets. Just to even out the net and have all your slack at the bottom. Okay, so now we got our net frame in the brackets, and the bottom sticking out these holes here that we drilled. So now I could snug up these 4 bolts. Top bolts are snugged up. Now we're going to throw some cotter pins, or these hairpins. We got these hairpins. We're going to put those down, and we're going to hide them on the inside. Okay, so they're going to be hidden on the inside, and there won't be any place for the animals to catch on them when it's hooked on the fence. Okay, so now that we got that done, we're going to grab our plastic piece. We're going to grab our plastic spacer. It's going to go up top here like this in the holes that we drilled. I'm just going to ream out these holes to make sure the bolts go in there nice and easy. Okay, so you put your middle bolt in hand tight. Make sure there's a washer on both sides because we got plastic on both sides. And you got all 3 of these holes drilled now from your template. And then what we're going to do is we're going to measure. We're going to come down, we're going to pull it snug. And then we're going to just measure 1.5 inches down from here. Okay? So I'm going to kind of see where it comes. So that's 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to put that in line with that and drill this hole here. and we'll put a bolt in there, and then we'll do the same on the other side. Okay, now that I got all those, I'm going to go and snug them up with my wrench. Just snug, not too tight. Now you're going to grab your top. I'm going to put my bung straight across. I'm going to set it on there. Make sure she fits all the way nicely down there. Then it comes with these 5 screws here. The holes are already pre-marked in the plastic. So I'm going to push down, make sure I'm tight there. There you have it. There's your barrel. Throw the hay in there, hook it on a fence here. Horses eat through here. The last thing we got to do is, this is just a load binder. Okay? This is just a load binder, and this is what locks it. Pulls it down tight onto your fence. So if you have a fence rail here, if you have like a 3-rail fence or a 4-rail fence, you're gonna have a rail here, another one here, and then like another one there. So we're gonna mount this somewhere like that, and then this load binder, you're just gonna be able to snug this chain up, and it's going to pull your hooks down on the fence. Okay, so every fence is going to be different, so you're going to have to do it in the field. So just bring a 1/4-inch drill and a 7/16 wrench and socket, and then you do that in the field. And you just make sure when you're pulling on your load binder that it's actually pulling down on your hooks tight to your fence. Okay. Okay, so this load binder here, for installing it, you can see I'm coming up, and when I pull down on this load binder, it actually pulls the barrel down tight on these pipes here. So the way to do that is just load your bottom, drill your first hole at the bottom here, and then pull it hand tight. Pull it hand tight, add another 3/4 of an inch, and that'll give you your snugness. So make your mark as high as you can when the load binder is closed. Then add another 3/4 of an inch and drill a hole above it, so that when you do put this load binder on, when you snug it down, it snugs her down good. All right, that's how simple it is.